Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that is quietly, well, reshaping our entire world. Deep learning. And don't worry, we're going to break it all down in a way that makes sense, focusing on the what, the why, and the how without any of the complicated tech jargon. So let's just dive right in.
Okay, so let me ask you something. You ever wonder how, after you finish binging a show, Netflix just magically knows the perfect thing to recommend next? Or how your phone unlocks just by looking at your face? It really feels like magic, right? But it's not.
So yeah, the secret sauce behind all of this? It's a technology called deep learning. This is the engine that's powering some of the smartest tech we use literally every single day. And that's what we're here to do. Pull back the curtain and see how this engine actually works.
But, to really get what deep learning is, we kind of have to zoom out first to see where it fits in the big picture. The best way to think about it is like one of those Russian nesting dolls. You've got to open the big ones first before you can get to the one in the middle.
So that biggest, outermost doll, that's artificial intelligence, or AI. This is the big idea that's been around for decades. The whole grand vision of creating machines that can do things that would normally take a human brain to figure out.
Okay, so we open up that first doll. Inside, you'll find machine learning. Now, this is a specific way of doing AI. Instead of a programmer sitting down and writing millions of if this, then that rules, we just feed the machine a ton of data and let it figure out the rules on its own. So it's learning from experience, not just from a pre-written rulebook.
And then, right at the very center, the smallest doll, that's deep learning. It's a super powerful, very specialized kind of machine learning. So all deep learning is machine learning, and all machine learning is AI. And the thing that makes deep learning so special is how it uses layers, lots and lots of them, to find really complex patterns in all that data.
Right, so that word, deep. Why is it called deep learning? What's so deep about it? Well, this whole idea of layers is everything, so let's break that down, because it's the key to its power.
It's actually a pretty literal name. Deep just refers to how many layers of these artificial neurons are stacked up. Picture an assembly line for information. Each station, or layer, does one specific job and then passes its work on to the next station in line. Let's use a classic example to see how this works. Recognizing a face. All right, let's say we're trying to teach a computer to spot a face in a photo. The very first layer, the one getting the raw image, doesn't see a face at all. It has no clue. It's just seeing the most basic things possible. Little lines, edges, curves, and splotches of color. It's just looking at pixels. Okay, so that first layer passes its findings on to the next one in line. And this second layer's job is to take all those little lines and patches of color and start putting them together into basic shapes, like circles and squares. A little more complex, but still not a face. And you can probably see where this is going, right? The third layer takes those simple shapes from layer 2 and starts assembling them into things that look a lot like, well, facial features. It sees a combination that looks like an eye, or a nose, or a mouth. Now we're getting somewhere.
And then, at the very end of the line, the final layer looks at this whole collection, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, all in the right spots, and it makes the final call, yep, that's a person's face. Isn't that amazing? It starts with the simplest little dots and builds its way up to this really complex understanding, all on its own.
Now, this whole layered thing is inspired by the way neurons are networked in our own brains. But, and this is a really important but, it's just an inspiration. These systems are not thinking, they're not feeling, they are not conscious. They're just incredibly sophisticated pattern-matching machines. Okay, so that explains the structure, but how does it actually learn? How does it go from getting everything wrong to being so accurate? Well, you can think of it like teaching a puppy a new trick, just on a massive scale. It follows a pretty simple recipe. First, you need a mountain of data. For example, millions of pictures that are already labeled. Then, the training begins. The system looks at a picture and makes a guess. An algorithm checks if it's right or wrong. Every time it gets one wrong, which is a lot at the start, it gets a little nudge. It tweaks its own internal wiring just a tiny bit to try and get it right the next time. Now imagine doing that millions or even billions of times. With every single cycle, it gets a little smarter, learning from its mistakes until it's incredibly good. Then, and only then, is it ready to look at brand new data it's never seen before.
And you gotta understand, this is a total game changer from how we used to program computers. In the old days, a programmer had to write out every single rule by hand. With deep learning, we don't write the rules. We just provide the data, and the machine figures out the rules for itself. We've gone from being rule-based to being data-driven.
So I know this can all sound a little bit out there, maybe a bit theoretical, but the crazy thing is, you're using this technology all day, every day, and you probably don't even think about it. Let's just look at a few ways it's already a part of your life.
That face recognition that unlocks your phone? Yep, that's deep learning. When you talk to Siri or Alexa, that's deep learning too. Those spooky good recommendations you get from Netflix and Spotify, you guessed it. It's also behind real-time language translation, a lot of the features in self-driving cars, and it's even helping doctors spot diseases in medical scans way earlier. It is absolutely everywhere.
Okay, so there's no doubt this stuff is powerful. I mean, it's changing everything. But we also need a little reality check here. It's not magic, and it is definitely not perfect. So let's talk about what it isn't.
So let's tackle the biggest myth of all, the one we all see in the movies. Can these systems actually think? Do they feel? Do they understand the world like we do?
And the reality? It's a hard no. A deep learning model that can identify a cat in a picture has zero idea what a cat actually is. It doesn't know they're soft or that they purr or that my cat likes to knock my coffee cup off the counter. All it knows is that this specific pattern of pixels has been labeled cat millions of times before. That's it. It's pure pattern recognition. No understanding, no consciousness, no intent whatsoever.
So if you're going to take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. At its very core, deep learning is about one thing: learning from data. Tons and tons of data. It isn't magic, and it's not a thinking brain. It's just a profoundly powerful tool for learning from experience at a scale we've never seen before.
And that kind of leaves us with a really interesting question to think about for all of us. If machines are getting this good at learning patterns and learning from experience, what does that mean for us? What skills, things like creativity or critical thinking or real empathy, what skills become even more valuable for humans to be good at in a world that's powered by this incredible technology? Something to think about.